Of all 28 lessons in writing for strings, this one, in my view, is the most important. That's because this lesson lays the foundation for a word that's comfortably used in nearly every field of endeavor until we come to music. And that word is success. If you read as many composer biographies as I have, and met and worked with as many arrangers, composers, and orchestrators as I have, what you discover is that those who ultimately became successful followed a core set of procedures that for hundreds of years has consistently produced winners. What's true in other fields is just as true in music. When you follow in the steps of those who've successfully gone before you, you lay the foundation for your own success. While there are many skills needed for musical success, the chief success skill of all, whether it's music or some other field, is knowing how to teach yourself. And you learn that skill through score analysis and score reduction. The purpose of score analysis is to help you develop the critical thinking and decision-making skills needed to answer this one question. What do you want? When Rimsky-Korsakov wrote that orchestration is composition, he was describing the end game of the learning process, which is really a process of discovery, cataloging, and usage. In the very beginning, you're writing the music in your musical imagination. You hear a sound in your head. It could be a color combination, or the harmonic way a passage is written, or both. You like the sound so much, you want to use it. But what is it? And so begins the search. Discovery. Maybe you discover by listening to the recording over and over until you figure it out. Or if a score is available, you'll get the score and pore over it until you find the sound you heard in your musical imagination. That's the first step, discovery. Or it could work this way. Let's say you're listening to a piece of music and you hear a passage that resounds with you. You connect with it. You want to use it. But what is it? How was it written? That's also discovery. Next is defining just what went into making that sound that sound. So begins the process of analyzing the harmony and the instrumental combinations and logging down what it is and how it was achieved. That's the second step, cataloging. Now comes the writing of the thing, commitment. Once on the score page, it goes to parts, then to the musicians where it's played, and ultimately, the audience hears it, and that's the third step, usage. This three-step process, discover, catalog, use, is very important. To repeat, when Rimsky-Korsakov wrote that orchestration is composition, he was describing the end game of the learning process. Only as you go through this three-step process of discover, catalog, and use does orchestration become composition. So understand what you're doing. You are, with deliberate intent, building a musical database in your musical imagination so that what you hear, you can write and produce. Well, how do you do that? With score analysis and reduction and focused listening. So one more time, why are we taking this approach? To answer this one question. What do you want? There are two sides to knowing what you want, at least in orchestration. One side is what do you want when writing for real strings? But the other side is seeing if what you want to write with live strings can also be done with electronic string, or what we call sample string libraries. So the musical database that you're deliberately building is two-sided. One side is for learning the devices for live performance, while the other side is for testing to see how to recreate those devices electronically. In professional orchestration's writing for strings, you start the process through score analysis and reduction. Then, by doing test MIDI mockups of what you just analyzed. This way, you know what works for the live ensemble, and through experimentation and testing, you find out what does and doesn't work electronically with the libraries you currently own. Now, this sounds like a lot. So, why is it important? Well, it's important because there are two types of MIDI mockups. MIDI mockup type number 1 is a demonstration of your written score that someone will approve before greenlighting the recording session or concert performance. Or it's a realization of your score that you're releasing as an independent work. Here you have to push the samples at times to replicate the live performance. MIDI mockup type number 2 works on a different set of principles. It is an all-electronic score, but it's not a representation of what will be performed live. Here you have more latitude with which to experiment, understanding that you're limited by the quality and the number of sample libraries you have. Now I'm going to introduce a word to you. So even samplestration is a decision-making process, but the process starts with the music. And as you analyze, learn, and experiment, your confidence grows. And that's why we're here.